Hey guys, hope you're doing well today. Today I am doing a video and this is going to be my favorite and least favorite shades in the palette, and this idea was created by Spooky Lips and Fat Hips and Georgia Harris here on YouTube, so I'll link their original videos down below. I think they split it up into two videos, but I'm just going to combine mine into one. They have really awesome channels and I highly suggest you check them out. I didn't choose all my eyeshadow palettes for this video because I'm still getting to know some of them, and I chose the ones that I'm most familiar with. I have 5 eyeshadow palettes that were pre-made. I have one custom-made palette, and that one's kind of cheating, which is why I wanted to have at least 5 pre-made palettes in here. So I'm going to be swatching them on my arm, and then at the end of the video, I'll show all of my favorites together and then all of my least favorites together. The first one I have here is the iluvsarahiii and Dose of Colors collab, and this is just a 6-pan eyeshadow palette. I am wearing this on my eyes today, and it is a really beautiful palette. Here are what the colors look like. And my favorite in the palette is this shade Palma right here, which is this really glittery blue shade, and this is what I'm wearing all over my lid today. And that is what Palma looks like. I think it does look less glittery when you actually swatch it and apply it to your eyes as it does look in the pan, but it is a really pretty teal color. And my least favorite shade right here is Finders Keepers, and this is the really glittery black shade, and I have this on my outer corner today. Not gonna lie, this is the first time that I've used it, but I feel like it didn't apply as glittery on my eyes as it does look in the pan, but it swatches so well. It is so glittery. Like, look at it on my finger. It is like magical. But I just don't feel like it applies as glittery as it looks. These swatches are going to be awful. But there is what Finders Keepers looks like. So this is my favorite, which is Palma, and then this is my least favorite, which is Finders Keepers. While this is a really beautiful palette, I feel like it is really expensive for what it is. It is 6 pans, and I think it was $35. And I know Anastasia palettes, I think they're $42, and they have 12 shades, so I think that's a little bit better deal. I've never tried Dose of Colors eyeshadows before, and honestly, I have very similar colors in my other palettes. I will actually definitely have a dupe for this one, the peachy shade, and that is Loungy. And these are all gorgeous colors, but I think I am actually going to return it because I'm not in love with it, and I did really want this palette for about a month. I would swatch it every single time I went to Ulta, and I loved the way it looked, but I'm going to return it because I feel like I'm not going to get that much use out of it. But it is super pretty, and the packaging is really cute. Next, I have a palette that is one of my favorites. This is the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself eyeshadow palette. I talk about this, I feel like, in like every other video. So here's what the palette looks like. And I do have pans in several of these eyeshadows, which might sound contradictory considering what eyeshadow I'm going to pick for my favorite. I love this shade Marvel right here, which is this metallic kind of light olive green shade. And that is what Marvel looks like in a swatch. I think this is probably one of the prettiest eyeshadows that I have in my collection, and I haven't hit pan on it because I just haven't put it in a project. This is the only kind of green like this that I have in my collection, so I kind of wanted to save it a little bit. I do enjoy all the other colors that I've hit pan on as well. I've actually hit pan on 3, but this one is definitely my favorite in the palette, even though I have not hit pan on it. And my least favorite eyeshadow in the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself palette is this shade right here in Crystal, which is this kind of purpley gold shade. I just don't think it looks that great on me, honestly. But here's what a swatch of it looks like. So Crystal is right here, and as you can see, there is like a purpley kind of taupe gold duochrome to it. And it does look pretty in a swatch. It just doesn't look that great on my eyes. And then my favorite is Marvel. Next, I have my BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival eyeshadow palette, and this is a super colorful palette. So here's what it looks like. There is a nice variety of colorful shadows and neutrals. My favorite shade in this palette is the one I've hit pan on, and that is in the shade Solstice. And here's what Solstice looks like in a swatch. It is a really pretty pink shade. It's a metallic pink, and it does have, like, I'd say a peachy kind of duochrome to it. It is really, really pretty. I love this all over the lid, and I've actually used it on my outer corner with this shade in Euphoria, this beautiful yellowy gold shade, and it's so pretty. And I've hit pan on it so you can tell how much I like it, but my least favorite shade in this palette is actually another pink shade, and this is the shade Boho. Oh, is this swatch right here. It is like a pinky gold shade, but it's not the prettiest one I have in my collection. I have other ones that are a lot prettier than this and just show up better on the eyes, and as you can see, they look kind of similar on camera. Solstice is a lot more metallic, and then Boho just looks more of like a satin on the lids. So those are my favorite and least favorite shades from the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. Next, I have my Hard Candy Look Pro eyeshadow palette, and I've definitely gotten some use out of this one. And here's what my palette looks like. So as you can see and probably guess, my favorite shade in this palette is Marry Up, which is this really beautiful greeny gold. And this is the shade Marry Up. It is a really beautiful gold, and I love this all over the lid. It does swatch a little bit more sheer than it does apply to the eyes, but this is just one of my favorite golds that I have in my collection. And if you guys watch my channel, you guys know how much I love gold eyeshadows. However, I do have a gold in here that is actually my least favorite shade in the palette, and it is the shade Charmer right here, which is this lighter gold, and this one is just more of a satin in the palette, and the rest are kind of more metallic or somewhat glittery finishes. So here's Charmer next to Marry Up, and as you can see, Charmer is a lot less pigmented than the Marry Up shade, and this one I really had to get a couple times in the pan, like rub my finger a lot to get a swatch of it. It did not build up very nicely. The eyeshadows in this palette are so good. I've used all of them, I think, except for the black shade, just because I don't use black very often. But this one is just not as intense as the others in the palette. You guys probably knew this one was coming, but this is the last of my pre-made palettes for this video, and this is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill original eyeshadow palette, and mine has received so much love. I love this palette so much. And as you can see, I do have pan in several shades in the eyeshadow palette. And although it might seem like I have more pan in this shade right here, it's faint. I just use that one a lot because it's a good inner corner highlight, face highlight, or lid shade. It's very basic and I can dupe it in so many other palettes. But actually my favorite eyeshadow in this palette is the shade Diva right here. And this is a beautiful metallic forest green shade. And that is what Diva looks like, and not the prettiest swatch in the world, but this is so unique to my collection. It is a beautiful kind of Kelly forest green metallic shade. This looks gorgeous all over the lid or as a pop of color on the lower lash line. I do want to try it as like a colorful eyeliner. I think that would be super pretty as well. It was actually really hard to pick a least favorite shade in the palette, but I chose the shade at 24/7, which is supposed to be the glitter infused one, and I just feel like it doesn't show up as glittery as Jaclyn Hill claims it does. I just wish it would apply more glittery to the eyes. As you can see in the swatch here, it isn't super glittery. It just kind of looks like a shimmery brown shade. And finally, for the palettes that I'm talking about in this video, I have my Z palette, and this is just a bunch of Colourpop eyeshadows. So here are what the eyeshadows look like in my custom palette, and I have some from the Yes Please palette, and then these are two of the pressed shadows in their single forms. So I do have pan on Glass Bull and on Belair. I have actually panned a full single of Glass Bull, so you'd think that would be my favorite shade in this palette, but honestly, I love the shade Belair so much. It is the perfect warm matte brown shade. Here is Belair right here. I love this shade on my outer corner or blend it into my crease if I want a more defined crease shade. And my least favorite shade in the palette is this shade Champs right here, which is this matte peachy shade. Honestly, it just does not show up that well on me, and I'm pale, so I usually just mix this with other colors from the palette just to get use out of it. That is what Champs looks like. It's actually showing up fine when I'm swatching it because I did build it up a little bit, but on the eyes it just doesn't show up that well on me. Other than Champs being too light on me, it's not a bad eyeshadow. It does blend well. I actually did depot the Yes Please palette, as you can see, and I did use up several shades from it. I just kept the ones that I wanted to, but I do really enjoy the Colourpop eyeshadow formula. I think they blend well and they're super pigmented. Those are my favorite and least favorite shades out of 6 eyeshadow palettes in my collection. I'm excited to see what kind of eyeshadows that I'm drawn to. I didn't actually swatch them all together. I'll insert a clip of what my favorites look like and then what my least favorites look like right after. So I think my favorite colors altogether could be a pretty palette. It would just need some more mattes in it. Least favorites kind of just looks like a non-cohesive neutral palette. Please make sure to check out Georgia Harris and Spooky Lips and Fat Hips. I'll leave their videos down below as I mentioned, and I will see you guys in my next video. Talk to you later. Bye.